How do you know if you're an introvert? Like, how do you empirically start to determine if you are, in large part, an introvert?
Well, I would start by just asking that question of what happens to you, at around the
Just
2-hour mark where you're having
go
a
to
good time.
parties.
Yeah, like,
Just go to
I mean,
parties every
imagine.
day.
But I also find, I'm curious if you have a different experience from this, but from all the years that I've been out there talking about this topic, I found that most people really seem to know once they're being honest with themselves. And maybe that's the question to ask is like, if you imagine that you have a Saturday or a whole weekend where you can spend your time exactly the way you want to with no professional obligations and no social obligations, who would you spend it with? How many people? What would you be doing? And what does that picture that you're painting start to look like?
Yeah. So there's nuance to this, though, because I'm sure for extroverts to get energized by stimulation, whether that's stimulation with other people, like it depends what that stimulation is, right? Like maybe you're not surrounded by the kind of people that you enjoy being around. So, um, maybe that has to do less with whether some characteristics of your personality, more has to do with the fact what your environment is like. That's always kind of the question. Do you want to be alone because everybody around you is an asshole, or do you want to be alone because you get energized from being?
Well, I would hold the variables constant, I guess. I would say, you know,
Yes, keep the assholes constant and see. Um, and then there's the other thing you kind of observe, that there's a lot of people that will say they get energized from being alone, like people are exhausting to them or something like that. But at the same time, when you see them at a party, they seem like the life of the party.
I know. And I hear from those people all the time. There's so many people like that.
What would you classify them as exactly? Is it ultimately as the source of energy? Is it the most important thing? Or like how the heck are they the life of the party?
It's a bunch of different things. So, first of all, just to say, like a big caveat to all of this is humans are just amazingly complex. So, you can't
Yeah.
like explain every individual human through these parameters, even though I think the parameters are really valuable. But that person at the party, it could be that they're more of an ambivert. So they kind of are
What's
more in the
that?
middle of the spectrum. It basically means someone who's not extremely introverted or extremely extroverted. They're kind of in the middle. So maybe at a party, their more extroverted side comes out. Or it could be an introvert who's gotten really good at the skills of acting more like a pseudo extrovert, and they pull that up at the moments that they need it.
So they've
Yeah.
learned how to fake it.
Yeah. Oh, there's a lot of people like that. And I know this because, like, I think out of all the people on this planet you could be talking to, I've heard from the most number of those people. Like, they all come and tell me about their experience out in the world presenting a face that's different from what they feel.
So one of the things you talk about is, at least in the West, we've constructed a picture of success, and that picture is usually one of an extrovert. Like when you imagine somebody who's a leader, who's a successful person, that person has some of the qualities you would associate with an extrovert. And so there's a lot of incentive for faking it.
Yeah, exactly.
If you want to be successful, you got to be able to fake it, to sort of hang with the rest of the team. You have to be able to be outgoing and all those kinds of things, and not be drained by the interaction.
Yeah, but I mean, there are also a lot of introverts who figure out ways to draw on their own strengths, and they're incredibly connecting and successful, and they're great leaders, and they're not actually faking it. They're more just figuring out ways to do it their own way. You see a lot of people like that.